Good morning. Welcome to Unity Temple on the Plaza, where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards. How are we feeling? This is the 75th anniversary. So can we please give a round of applause? It's been a highly successful weekend, a lot of great results. A lot of people have been saying amazing things, even last night at the jazz concert. How many of you were able to make it out to that? That was freaking incredible, amazing, so excited, and thank you for all the volunteers and for everyone just putting that positive energy out here in the temple. It has made a huge difference for the success of this. And after today's service, you are all welcome to come downstairs and take part in this lovely meal, have some great fellowship and conversation and reminisce about the great times you've had here at the temple. So I encourage you all to stay a little while afterwards and come take part in that, and let's make that a huge success as well. So we will begin today's service with the call to inspiration and the opening prayer in the temple chimes. Recite with me. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a sense of unity with all creation, in harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all of nature. We live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen. now come to that special time in our service where we give of our tithes, our love, and our offerings. And sometimes that's just energetically, and sometimes it's with the abundance that we've been supplied in our life. So if you would recite this with me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. And so it is. We bless these gifts and the givers, and know that these gifts go forward to bless this temple and all of those whose lives we touch.
The road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. For I know it doesn't bring me down at all. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. When I'm laden at home and I'm laden with gladness, that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love, love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on our way to there, why not share? For I know it doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
It is on now. Am I broadcasting? Can everybody hear me? Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. We've been tackling this sound problem all week, and it just doesn't allow the sound that goes out to come back and hit the choir or the people sitting here. So here we are. Anyway, the 75th anniversary of Unity Temple in the Plaza, and what a ride it has been. Thank you. I give my heartfelt gratitude for every person in this audience and every person that comes to this community center and to the church and to the Buddhist Center for all the support you give us, whether it's prayerful support, whether it's moral support, whether it's financial support. I truly appreciate it. You know, this church was 15 years in the planning. In 1939, they bought, or 1931, excuse me, they bought the land that we're sitting on. And they planned this church for 15 years, if you can imagine that, and then 5 years to construct it. Now, during that time, it wasn't an easy walk. Shortly after they bought the lot, the Great Depression set in, and donations dried up. People weren't giving money like they used to because they simply didn't have it. You know, when the Depression began to fade away, World War II came in, and there was a big shortage of materials to finish the building and a big shortage of workers to do the construction work. And then after that, there was inflation set in, and the budget for this particular temple went from $600,000 to over $1 million. The Fillmores were pretty much drained of finances at that point in time, so they went to the banks to try to get a loan. Every bank they approached said, no, the best thing you can do is cut your losses and get out of the church business because this will never fly. But they continued with faith. And they decided to sell bonds to anyone that was interested at a higher interest rate than they could get at the bank or other places. And they paid the bonds off in record time. And the doors opened in 1948 of June. And here we are 75 years later, looking forward to another 75 years of this establishment serving the community with not only moral support, but with spiritual lessons that help people live a better life and increase their sense of well-being. For that, all of us can be extremely grateful. Now, thank you. Our first speaker this morning is somebody that has probably been coming to this church longer than anybody in the audience. He started here as a young child, was an active member of the Sunday school department. He went on to become a Unity minister. He was in my graduating class in 1989. And shortly after that, he took the position of Executive Vice President of Unity Worldwide Organization. So it's my great pleasure to present to you Chris Jackson. Many of you have heard him speak. He's going to be speaking next week for another chapter in his lessons that he's been giving us. So Chris, would you please come forward?
Good morning, everybody. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Duke, for the opportunity to be present for this most auspicious celebration. Carrie Lou Sheldon. That's a name probably no one in this room has ever heard before, but it's a name that is very dear to my heart because it is the name of my maternal grandmother, who in the mid-1930s came home from her Methodist church that she had attended devoutly for many years and said, I'm never going back. And her friends said, why? And she said, because I'm tired of starting every week with the idea that I am a hell-bound born sinner. Not too much longer after that, as the story is told, a neighbor suggested to her that she attend a lecture by a fellow who was teaching at 913 Tracy Avenue in downtown Kansas City. So Carrie Lou Sheldon made her way down, and I love the reality that women have played such a powerful role in the Unity movement, and I think my grandmother was one of them. I really believe it has made us into one of the most well-balanced spiritual persuasions on the planet because we had that masculine and feminine energy combined. So Carrie Lou Sheldon made her way down to hear this guy. His name was Charles Fillmore, and of course the name of the place was the Unity Society of Practical Christianity. That Sunday morning changed her life forever. And quite frankly, it has impacted my life in ways that I could never completely account for as I share with you this morning. I really want to thank you, Duke, for letting me be a part of this experience because my roots do run deep here. As Duke told me in an email earlier this week, young as you are, you have likely attended the temple longer than anyone else in the room. I don't know that that's for sure, but I do know that my first passage over the threshold, and I say passage because I wasn't walking at the time, I was an infant when my mother brought me here. And of course, it was her mother, Carrie, that had brought her here as well. But it's hard to believe that it's been 70 years. It's a little bit hard to believe that this fine, fine spiritual community has thrived on the Country Club Plaza for 75 years. This temple is my spiritual birthplace. No question about it. In many ways, I wasn't born in Prairie Village, Kansas. I was born right here at Unity Temple on the Plaza. As Duke said, I spent my childhood years here. I was an active member of the Youth of Unity from the Unity Temple chapter, but we would go out to the village for our annual conferences. And it was here that I received, so many years ago, my calling to Unity ministry at a very early age. I was somewhere between 12 and 14, I can't remember specifically, when I knew I was going to be a Unity minister. And as the 1970s came into being, I launched a 26-year-long career at Unity School out at Unity Village. I was ordained as a minister, and then I moved and spent 21 years in field ministry in South Florida. It never would have happened had it not been for Unity Temple on the Plaza. I just know this in my bones. The temple has also been a spiritual birthplace for the worldwide Unity movement. I'm not sure everybody in the room recognizes the invaluable role, the irreplaceable cornerstone that Unity Temple on the Plaza has been in our movement's history. We consider the founding of the Unity movement to have taken place in 1889 with the publication of Modern Thought magazine. Charles Fillmore put that together on paper. But in reality, the first incorporated entity was the Unity Society of Practical Christianity, which is the entity still that occupies Unity Temple today. So later we had Unity School of Christianity, which is the Unity Village entity that came into being in 1914. But it was 1903 that this particular organization was incorporated, making Unity Society the first Unity Church to ever exist, originally at 913 Tracy and now here on the Plaza for 75 years. It's also the model, my friends, from which some of the greatest Unity ministries in the world have evolved. It went from Kansas City to Chicago, to Denver, to Los Angeles, to New York, and ultimately around the world. So the seeds of this movement were in no small way planted right here, amidst the energy, the vibration, and the consciousness that you are a part of. From the temple's own account of its history, this building was dedicated as a haven of rest and inspiration for all people. And just take that in for a minute, because this was many years ago, my friends, and yet they were saying then, as we say today, all people. We're not looking at what your religious affiliation is now or has been. We're not looking at your lifestyle. We're certainly not instructing you or requiring you to live in a certain way. This place exists and has existed for all people everywhere. And later it was added, a place where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards. Thank you, Duke, for making that important designation about this place. I love the fact that the word praised is in there, not tolerated. We talk a lot about tolerating each other, but we don't tolerate each other when we come in this room on Sunday mornings, do we? We celebrate each other. We praise each other. The temple certainly has been, over the years, my personal haven of rest and inspiration. I spent many a long summer here at Unity Temple, traveling by bus. Both my parents were employed. I would come down here on a bus from Overland Park, where I lived, and I was virtually adopted by the associate minister here at that time, Reverend William Cameron, who just made his transition this past year. I went back to Miami to be a part of his celebration of life. I'll never be able to thank that man enough. Why he would tolerate a 14-year-old kid coming down on a bus to spend his days here at Unity Temple, I will never quite understand. But he later told me that he saw something in me that I certainly was not able to see in myself. And don't you believe when you come in this place, people see something in you that you perhaps have never been able to see in yourself. That's one of the great gifts that we bring to each other. I actually even had an office here at Unity Temple in one of those little rooms they gave me wherever they're located. They're little counseling type rooms on the second floor. I became a part of the Temple Players, which was a group that Reverend Cameron had put together for young people to be able to practice in performing arts. Today I find it hard to believe myself that I was really very insecure and shy. And the hardest thing in the world for me would be to get in front of a group of people. And I will always be grateful to Unity Temple and to Reverend Cameron for supporting me in overcoming that. It's been a safe, supportive space and a fertile soil for my own growth. Unity Temple was here for me. It was here for me when I needed to find and trust myself as a young man. It was here for me during my midlife crisis in the 1990s, and I won't go into details on that, but it was quite a crisis, and I needed to come back home for a period of time, which I did, and it's still here for me now in the autumn of my life. 70 years later, I am still astounded at how inspired I feel every time I cross over the threshold of this temple, and I know, my friends, I'm not the only one. Countless others have found their own spiritual birthplace and a safe space, a haven of rest and inspiration within these walls. I suspect many of you in this room this morning feel the same way. And today, the worldwide unity movement, make no mistake, is still watching. Times have changed. A church must be more than a Sunday morning worship experience. And I've watched it happen right here at Unity Temple on the Plaza. Under Duke's leadership, and I need to take a minute here to say, I've watched this since 1991 when you arrived here. I've seen how you have transformed this place from strictly a house of worship, which will always be, and still is, and is right now, into a community nucleus. You allowed this to become more than a church. You allowed it to become a place where people could come to better understand themselves, a collection, an incredible variety of individuals representing lifestyles, representing religious persuasions. It happened here, and I was watching it during the 90s. I wasn't here on Sundays as much, but I was watching it from a distance. And I believe that this is the model. You had the vision. Just like Charles Fillmore, you had the vision, you had the dream to be able to make this into a reality, and it was critical not only in terms of service to people, but in terms of ensuring that this amazing, beautiful structure still represents the best of the unity movement in the world, I believe, today. So, my friends, we, in this room today, hold the sacred responsibility of ensuring that this ministry remains beautiful and strong, just like the structure that houses it. To be a spiritual birthplace and a place of rest and inspiration for generations to come. And my invitation and my admonition to all of us today is, let's keep on loving it. Let's keep on serving it. Let's support it, let's bless it, let's thank it, and above all, let's believe in it. The renowned Unity minister, Dorothy Pearson, had 6 words that she loved to share, and I close by sharing them with you this morning. The best is yet to be. God bless you, and God bless Unity Temple on the Plaza.
Well, Chris and I talked a couple of weeks ago about him speaking here this morning, and he said, what should I talk about? He said, talk about anything. Please, just don't make me cry. It's the one thing he couldn't come through on. He is a good friend, and I love him dearly. My second speaker is quite a different story. He lives 1,200 miles away. He's only been to this church 4 times in his entire life. The last time was over 22 years ago. He knows a little bit about what goes on here, but not a whole lot. But I ran into him about 5 years ago, And he was asking me how the church was going. And I said, well, it's slow. I mean, we just got out of COVID, and things are very slow, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back. And he said, well, what would it take to bring it back? And I said, I don't know. I said, you know, we need new furnace, we need new air conditioner, we need new windows, we need a lot of stuff, but also we need to generate the activity. He says, well, think about it. This is on a Friday, and he called me the next Monday. He says, well, what are you thinking? And I said, well, it's a big mountain to climb, and I don't think the environment is right for expansion right now. He said, well, don't think about that. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. Start a fundraiser. I'll give you $100,000 as matching funds, so if people match that, you're going to have $200,000. I says, okay. So we announced that in a Sunday morning, and it filled up like that. So I called the next day. I said, hey, your matching grant filled up. He said, okay, do another one. I'll give you another $100,000. So we did that. And then down the road, he gave us $500,000 because we wanted to reach that $2 million goal. And after that, another $300,000, making his total contribution to this capital campaign $1 million. And that's just an incredible gift. Okay, remain standing. That person is here today. That person's here today, and he's my brother, Ted Tufte, and he wants to say a few things. Can you hold this okay?
Yeah. I haven't even spoken yet. I got to tell you my version of how this whole thing came together. You know, Duke and I didn't talk for 22 years. And then my son was going through a triple bypass in Des Moines, Iowa. And I go down there as a concerned father, and Duke was there. And with the first time we had met each other for 22 years. And so we got to talking, and then we were staying in the same hotel, and my son had this, and I kept telling him, you got to get to bed early, you got to be there at 4 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, Duke and I spent a lot of time at the hotel, and we became brothers again. And so, but Duke wasn't the same Duke that I knew. And I said, Duke, what's going on? And so in our conversations, Duke says, well, I just don't have the spirit anymore. The church is in bad shape. And I said, well, Duke, let's talk about it. And so we spent time talking about it. And I said, Duke. He gave me information. I said, well, Duke, let's fix it. And he says, well, how do you want to fix it? So one morning I called him up, and I said, Duke, all right, let's fix it. And I said, how much is it going to be? And of course, he's right out of the bat. He says, well, it's going to be $3 million. And he expected me to hang up. but he didn't. And so I said, well, okay, Duke, we're going to have to do this in stages. And I said, okay. Or he said, okay. And then the first stage, like Duke said, was $100,000. And then, you know, we built it up. And then finally I said, Duke, let's get this thing done. So I stepped up and ended up, the total thing is $1 million. Now, how do you say thank you to somebody that's given you $1 million? I came down here today, first time I was in this church for 22 years, and I look what's been done. I look at all the activities going here. That's enough thank you. I got the old Duke back, and you got him back too. You know, I've always had a philosophy in my life that if you have a situation, address the situation. Don't put it on the back burner. I'm one that address the situation, find a solution to the situation, and make it happen. That's what we did here. And so, Unity, happy birthday. You lived 75 years with the old stuff, and now the new stuff's all in, and you're going to live for at least 100 years more with the people's support. So with that, how do you say thank you? It's already been said. Looking at the facility, got Duke back. He and I are close now. What more could you ask for? Thank you.
Ted, take center stage. Take center stage. Take center stage. Oh, I'm turning into a regular crybaby at this service. Well, take a moment to relax in your seats as we go into meditation. And as we do so, let our hearts just fill with gratitude, appreciation, and love, not only for this facility, but for all the people that come here, for yourself, for this activities that take place here, and just realize what a precious treasure we have. This is the crown jewel, and not only Unity's crown, but also on the Plaza's crown. So as we move into meditation, take a moment to make yourself comfortable. Take a deep breath. And we'll now be led into meditation. As we go deeper into meditation, take another deep breath and just hold it for a moment or two. And then as you exhale, feel your entire body become relaxed. One more, breathe in. And slowly breathe out. This is the day God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Everybody faces uphill battles in their life. Everybody has losses and failures. Everybody has difficult problems to solve and challenges to overcome, but we do it. Take a moment to think of everything that you've been through up to this time. All the tough parts, all the difficult parts, All the times when it seemed so dark that the light would never shine again, but it did. Because we're made of God, we're made of spirit. We have potential and spiritual attributes to overcome any challenge that tries to hamper our peace of mind or sense of well-being. We have the divine spirit within us. Think about that, believe that, begin to act upon that, and go forth with confidence in your life. We'll now move into the silence. Now slowly begin to bring yourself back for meditation. Back to this present moment, this present time, with gratitude in our hearts, appreciation for all that is. We say thank you. We go forth to live with a peaceful heart, being at peace with all the situations and circumstances in our lives. We go forth to live with a peaceful heart, being at peace with all the people in our world. And we go forth to live with a peaceful spirit, at peace with the person we is in the life that we're living. And so it is.
Happy 75th anniversary, Unity Temple, from the choir. And if you'd like to join us, join the choir, please do. We'd love to have you. Thursday nights.
When I say goodbye, it's never for long, 'cause I know our love still lives on. It'll be again exactly like it was, 'cause I believe in the power of love. When you're close, I can feel the power. When it's love, I can always say, love for me is the best thing it's something that I know so well. Hold me closer than every minute of every hour. Feel the power of love. Hold me tighter and take me higher, and feel the fire of the power of love. Did you know that your feelings show you thought your love was locked up inside? Then your senses start to overload. Love is something we could never hide. You got to believe in love. It's a feeling that's next to none. Can't stop until we are one with the power of love. Tell everyone you see how much better this world could be. Much better for you, for me, with the power of love. So listen up, and you can feel it coming straight from above. It's the power of love. You can't deny it, so don't even try it. And let the feeling sweep you off your feet. You got to believe in love. It's a feeling that's next to none. Can't stop until we are one with the power of love. Tell everyone you'll try. I promise to reach the sky. One thing that you can't deny, with the power of love. When we walk down the street, we don't care who we see or who we meet. No need to run, no need to hide, 'cause we've got something burning inside. We've got love, oh power. Is the greatest power of them all. Do you believe me? We got more love, more power, and together we can't fall. Have a great day. Thank you.
the beautiful youth of Unity. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but the Tufties, that's master level skill, because they delivered a message without even delivering a message, if you heard the story. So I hope you guys caught that. If not, we're going to talk about that next time. So now, thank you all for joining us for this moment of inspiration, and we'll close the service with the peace prayer and the prayer for protection. Peace song and the prayer for protection. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. Amen.
Hold it, Robert. This is for the benefit of everybody in the audience that doesn't like organized religion, okay? We are going to close the day with the prayer for protection and the peace song.
There we go. Now we got the prayer for protection. I was a little bit confused too. All right. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.